Hey, you guys. Happy Easter. Hi. All right, you know what I decided? We have to get the obligatory smile. Smile and pose. But while we're waiting for people to trickle in, I'll just talk about my random ideas before we get into the central ideas. So, first of all, I got around to watching the Tina Turner documentary. You guys, first of all, I don't know what I'm gonna do about it, but I'm gonna do something, maybe on Patreon. I don't know if I'm gonna do it on the main channel, but something. I have to talk about the Tina Turner documentary because it made me so emotional. I cried. I have been a Tina Turner stan since I first saw What's Love Got to Do with It when I was like 4 or 5. Now, yeah, that's too young to be watching What's Love Got to Do with It. But it made an imprint and it solidified my obsession with Tina Turner. And recently I don't even want to say, but I heard somebody on their podcast talking shit about her looks and talking shit about her music, and I wanted to fight him. I'm like, there's always the niggas with a fucked up hairline who want to talk shit about women's appearances. It's like, sir, your hairline is in 2003. Leave Tina alone. Anyways, sorry. Not me going off. Oh, not me going off on that. Oh, but you know what else we can talk about? I follow so many freaking skincare influencers, but it's like all the skincare influencers have had perfect skin since they were little. I feel like I have no desire to become a skincare influencer, right? But, if we're going to be taking advice from people, I'm not taking advice from the people who never had a pimple even in puberty. I mean, I am taking their advice, but, I have fought so hard for this, okay? Okay, long and hard, okay? It's fucking World War III on my face right now. And so I decided to share the new shit that I bought that I like. This is baby facial. Not me being a beauty girl. No, but I actually really do like this. It has 25% AHA and 2% BHA. I use a lot of acids. I use a lot of chemicals and acids. And when I put this on my face, because it has so much acid in it, my face was like, ah! There's definitely some stinging, but I really liked this. Also, I follow a girl named By Me Chanel who has like the most perfect skin ever, even in pregnancy. And because I am not going to be wearing like full makeup, like I'm not wearing, I wear Lancome. People ask me about my makeup routine because I finally learned how to do my makeup. And so, sorry, my mic is like doing a weird thing. Oh my God, technical difficulties. Sorry. Maybe we'll switch sides with it. I don't know. Just let me be great. Anyways, okay. Sorry. I'm sure that made all kinds of noise. So anyways, her name is By Me Chanel, and I'm trying to go like really, really light on foundation because when it's hot, and I live in Texas, and so this is like Ilia, like the little like skin tint. We're trying to do a skin tint, it's all about, fake natural. And it also has SPF, so I bought this. It was expensive as fuck though. It was. So we'll see if I like this. And then I also bought this, which is like, it's SPF, but it's like a powder. Love it. Gotta have SPF, girl. Because, all the time trying to get clear, radiant skin does not matter if you're not using SPF because all of the hyperpigmentation will come back. All right. Now that we are here. Price range. Oh, you know what? I'm not sure. It's expensive as fuck. I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, the over the top like cheap stuff just has never worked for me. I've always been a dermatology girl and an expensive as fuck face skincare girl. I've tried. When I tell you I've tried, okay? I've been having acne since Destiny's Child had 4 members, okay? Like a long time. If I really went through all of the stuff that I have tried on my face, like black soap, Proactive, what is it? The clear, what is it? The stuff that comes in the numbers and it has like blue bottle, like every single thing. Oh, okay. The SPF powder, it's a brand called Ilia. Also expensive as fuck. But, you know, it's fucking capitalism got me. Oh, and I have on, okay, so one time somebody asked me, like, this is a necklace with my name on it. I was wearing this in one video, not me just going off, but I was wearing this in one video. I'll put the chapter delineations when I put this up on YouTube. And somebody was like, is that a Cartier love bracelet? And I was like, oh, y'all think I'm rich. Y'all think I have money. Y'all think I have money for a $6,000 bracelet? Kimberly does not have $6,000 bracelet money, okay? I do not own a Cartier love bracelet. Thank you so much. Black soap had my skin dry as hell. Oh, you know what else I meant to say? That because I have all of these thoughts that I'm trying to get to, y'all, if y'all would leave comments and the questions that you want me to answer, like using the official like comment tab, that would be great so I can get to them at the end. But I mean, my cleanser is over the counter drugstore cleanser, something really easy and gentle generally. But like the stuff that I actually use to like get rid of acne is like harsh, chemical. Like it has the skull, like the skull and crossbones on it. Do not ingest. You will die. Do you want to go blind? Don't put this in your eyes. That's what I need. That's what I need. Okay. Jackie Ina influenced me the other day to buy $165 in serums. I hit a milestone B-Day, and I'm all about supplements and serums. Yeah, Jackie Ina is the ultimate rich bitch influencer. You know, like, she will be like, yeah, here is my collection of perfumes that cost approximately $2,500. Like, oh, fuck. Like, okay. Question, can't y'all just negate acne by not eating meat and candy and reducing y'all stress and hydrating? Honestly, Moses, fuck you. Like that's as much as I can say about it. As somebody who has literally had acne since she was 8. Fuck you and fuck your mom, okay? Like, get the fuck out of here. People always be doing that shit. Just stop eating chocolate. Like, get the fuck out of here. Just drink more water. Stop it. I have a hormone imbalance that causes all kinds of problems. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. We need science. I need fucking science. Anyways, let's get into it. Oh my God. It's been like 5 minutes. We talking about random shit. All right. So, first of all, I love this space. I love this space and I hope that it stays small because I like just having a space where I can really offhandedly talk about all of the ideas that are floating through my head. and then get feedback in real time. I almost feel like at this point, satin pillow talks, even though I don't have a satin pillow right now because I'm irresponsible, and that's why I'm about to get braids, because if I go any more weeks without like having my hair braided up or whatever, like Kim is about to be bald headed. But also because it's about to be pool and beach weather, and you cannot have straightened hair in pool and beach weather. All right. So I really love the idea of just being able to sketch things out. I'm obsessed with Kiese Layman for many reasons. Anyways, let's not get into that. And one thing that he underscores over and over again when he's talking about craft is the importance of revision. And revision is really normalized for people who do their creative work primarily through writing, right? You have editors and you go back and forth. And I recognize that as somebody who primarily makes visual stuff, you know, and audio stuff, that the practice of revision and working through things and getting feedback and refining is not as normalized. And I want to make sure to do that. Like, I prefer sitting and talking, but while sitting and talking, often, you know, off the cuff say things and I'm just like, I don't know. Or even I'll put things in the sit down scripted recording videos where I'm like, oh, I'm not so sure, right? That's why one of the things I'm going to do for Patreon in the next couple of days, weeks, is I sat down with Laverne Cox, who was so great and smart and gracious. And there are things that we got into in that podcast and I'm like, I don't know if I really believe that. So I want to go back and kind of revise. But something I did want to revise and really apologize for is something that people have called me out on. And in that video about performative men, Sweetie and Derek Jackson, I commented on Derek Jackson's wife's appearance. And I was trying to make the point that it feels like Derek set her up to be clowned, but it was not appropriate for me to comment on her appearance. That was wrong. When I was trying to drag him, I dragged her, and that was not right. Yeah. So multiple people commented on that. And you know what? I be wrong sometimes. And I don't want to double down on wrongness, as is so popular on the internet, right? As influencers, there are so many incentivized to pretend like we're right all the time and to pretend like we don't see those criticisms. I saw it. And y'all were right. I was wrong. All right. Let's move on. So now, I know that this is going to attract people from the side of the internet that I don't fuck with, but I'm embracing that. And I'm going to get to why I'm embracing that toward the end. Okay, Moses, you're going to have to go. I'm sorry. We're going to have to go. Okay, so sorry he's gone. So one of the things that comes up, right, a lot is I talk about beauty. And in fact, I want to write a book on beauty and the pursuit of beauty and how we wrestle with beauty and beauty standards, maybe women of color generally, like really, really bad. Like, I feel like that's going to be like my next couple of years goal. And people seek me out regularly and say, let me get out my notes for this. If you were pretty, you wouldn't talk about beauty this much. Probably not. If I was structurally advantaged in the system of beauty that we have or in the beauty hierarchy, probably not. But if I were white, I probably wouldn't talk about race as much as I do. If I were a man, I probably wouldn't talk about womanhood and feminism as much as I do. So just because you think that I am not a part of the top quintile of beautiful people doesn't mean that my thoughts or opinions on that are void. But also, and this is something, I want to say this as nicely as possible. I think I look, average looking woman. I look around and most people are average looking. Most people are average looking. That's how it goes. That's how the distribution of any privilege goes, okay? And so even the people who be coming on here trying to tell me that I am so ugly and jealous, I'm like, the odds are you're probably average. You're probably average, right? The issue is that it's stigmatized to say that there's a hierarchy, right? And there are some people who are way on this side, and then there are some people who are way on that side. And those people, the worst treatment in the world is reserved for the people who we deem to be at the lowest rung of the beauty hierarchy. And we're doing everything that we can every day to make sure that we don't drop down into that lowest quintile, because we understand that those people get treated like shit. But the vast majority of people are in the middle. So what is the all right. But also, right, I also want to rethink the way that I contend with and publicly respond to the jealousy accusations, because I do feel like people are trying to bait me into performing hyperconfidence. And I feel like that hyperconfidence shit is akin, like literally fraternal twins to the strong black woman shit. Like, we are supposed to say, as black women who recognize that we are structurally marginalized in the bodies that we live in, that it doesn't impact us at all, that we don't care, that we're confident. And it's like, no, like, I am a woman, a person, a human, and I'm soft. And yes, I have experienced enormous insecurities. And yes, I understand that lots of other black women, because we are taught that beauty is the thing that we are supposed to offer to the world, experience all kinds of insecurity and self-doubt around that. And that's okay, right? Like, I am not at 32 beleaguered by those insecurities. I feel, as I mention all the time, the best I've ever felt in my life. But even if I didn't feel or look great, the things that I am saying are still true. They're still valid. You know, I appreciate a beautiful face. I appreciate a well-sculpted body. I can even appreciate, if we're going to rock the table, shake the table, I can even appreciate a good nose job. You know, I understand why you would opt for those things. Absolutely. But I don't want to stigmatize feelings that are pervasive and natural. You know, I don't want to make it seem like if you do feel jealous of the people who our society saves the best treatment for, you know, the people who have access to more stuff than you do, that's not wrong. And so I'm really going to be more careful about how I'm going back and forth with people over that. But I also want to underscore that I think jealousy is natural. Jealousy is understandable. You look around the world and see people who are more privileged than you, and you say, "Ooh, I want a little bit of that." But I think also a part of what I'm into right now at this phase of my life is really underscoring the idea that I made explicit in that. I know. Why am I this damn? All my stuff is janky today. All the technology is janky today. But what I really want to underscore in the way that I present myself in public and the ideas that I espouse in public is that you can live a great life and be fulfilled and move confidently and freely without being everybody's type. You know? Also, those ideas about jealousy, they are rooted in this idea that just by virtue of being a woman, we are physically opting into competition with other women, right? But I'm not competing with you for the life that I want to live. All right. So that's that. I have been ugly and gorgeous depending on who's looking. Everything ain't for everybody. Yeah. By calling you ugly as a deflection or an insult, they are proving your point. Ugliness is frowned upon, is a disadvantage. Beauty is praised and a privilege. Yes, and I'll also tell you, and let me just be super, super real. One of the reasons why I can let that stuff go is because I understand how these hierarchy works. I understand how beauty in our society is like spread out, what the bell curve looks like. And I've never been treated like an ugly person. The only time in my real life, I've never been called ugly. The only time people call me ugly is on the internet. And that says something, right? That says something. Now, I can be not your type. I'm not at the top of the beauty hierarchy. But the only time people weaponize ugliness at me is on the internet. And I recognize that that's very political. That's very intentional. So, that's how I can, navigate that stuff. So I wanted to talk. I'm sorry. I know that that's making a horrible noise every time I touch it. Social media is the physical manifestation of the beauty hierarchy in many ways. Okay. Oh, we'll get to the questions at the end. So let's get into the femininity stuff. And then I'll get into why I'm responding to this. So on the last video, somebody said, well, actually, a couple people have said, you need to apologize. This comes up multiple times. You need to apologize for saying that Black women can never be feminine and beautiful. Okay. This is how I know that people are not deeply engaging with the things that I create or the things that I say, because I am very careful about articulating ideas. And if I throw out an idea that people are like, what the fuck? I make it a point to, in some form, in some medium, say, here's exactly what I meant. That's why I love this, right? And I've done that multiple times around the beauty stuff. I've done that multiple times around the femininity stuff. I just talked about it with Laverne Cox, right? And another reason why I know people don't really be deeply engaging with stuff is because of, in the video about Botox and filler, and people are saying, well, when did you change your mind about beauty? And I'm like, literally, in the beauty is a bad investment, I literally say, I'm not judging women who choose to deeply invest in beauty. I totally understand it because I invest in beauty. I literally said in that video, even though I did go back on this, in that video, I said, I'm not coming out here without makeup on. I had my nails done in that video. I was, wearing like a cute, like pink in that video. I was giving feminine, I had my hair done. So, I recognize that most people are not getting past the social media clips, and they're not getting past the message boards. Truly, they're not getting past. And so I will continue to iterate on these ideas and refine them and talk about them, because I actually think that kind of feedback is useful for me. But anyways, let's get to the femininity shit. Sorry, that's why I like this, because I can just be like normal, like scatterbrained tangent Kim. So what I will say is that when we are talking about a pursuit of a specific kind of feminine ideal, many women's ideals of femininity and womanhood are patterned after white women because they want to be put on pedestals, the same kind of pedestals that, you know, the white feminist women have eschewed for hundreds of years, because they see how white women are able to navigate so freely, you know, and evade consequences and get things like by being mediocre. What did Omarosa say? You know, when you're white, you can be mediocre. And they envy their lives. And as I mentioned earlier, that envy is understandable. And I know people are going to be like, well, they had femininity in pre-colonial Africa. Absolutely. It's just interesting to me. It's just interesting to me that even when we are, and not we, but even when the people who are deeply into the femininity stuff talk about femininity and say, well, we had this in pre-colonial Africa, that they are repeating colonial talking points. That's interesting to me. So a lot of the messaging, you know, around the pursuit of an idealized femininity, a pedestalized femininity, is literally about, we want that. We should have that. But because of the multivariate systems of anti-blackness, that is not accessible to Black women. That doesn't mean femininity in general is not accessible to Black women, but that is not accessible to Black women. In the current world, right, that we have to navigate, a world that is structured by anti-Blackness, shout out to the Afro-pessimist and Frank Wilderson, right? We understand that idyllic white womanhood literally cannot exist without debased and degraded Black womanhood. They need each other to exist. What is it? Hegelian, right? Master slave. And the other thing is, I'm not the first person or the third person or the 30th person to talk about this. This kind of discussion around Black women and our relationship to femininity and, you know, the cult of true womanhood, like, that's old. It's Dorothy Roberts, and it's Toni Morrison, and it's Patricia Hill Collins, and it's just old. And Hortense Spillers, obviously we have to talk about Hortense Spillers. And that's the idea that while chasing this idyllic, pedestalized form of femininity that we see embodied in white women, that leads people to enact lots of violence, right, against each other, right? So Black women spend so much time policing each other because we're chasing after something that is actually unattainable. All right. So anyways, we're not going to escape the violence of any of the systems that we have to navigate by performing differently. And that policing literally causes death. So obviously, you know, I make it a point to carefully outline this over and over again, not because I think Black women can't be feminine or beautiful. I have seen and know many feminine and beautiful Black women. It means that the kinds of femininity that we opt into need not embrace or replicate the white supremacist structures that have been foisted upon us. So while we are pursuing femininity, we don't have to opt into fat phobia. We don't have to opt into classism. We don't have to opt into gender essentialism or colorism or featureism or texturism or any of that shit, right? You know, it's so interesting that, like, if we're going to talk about what was going on in pre-colonial Africa, like, nobody wants to deal with the ways that gender variance, right, that transness was recognized in many societies in pre-colonial, like that stuff gets swept under the rug. That stuff gets minimized or denied. All right. And it's like, you're infusing, like, okay, so what happens is, there is this thing where contemporarily we make like a fake Africa that is prehistory, and then you inject it with contemporary bigotry, right? And so the argument ends up being, well, they despised fatness in pre-colonial Africa too. And I'm like, what kind of argument is that? What kind of argument are you making? That doesn't make sense. Okay. So anyways, that interracial policing, right? As I mentioned, envy is understandable. Jealousy is understandable. Even that policing I get, and we have to actively work against our instincts to police, right? Because that interracial policing is fundamentally about insecurity. Insecurity about our social position, and it's like the insecurity manifests itself in telling women who cannot embody, right, something that resembles the ideal. Like, you wayward bitches are holding us back. Like, you bitches are embarrassing. It's like, y'all can't embarrass me. That's not how it works, because I understand that what you do is not why we are debased and degraded. That's not why, right? JT, I've been watching the JT and Uzi and Carisha stuff. JT and Carisha acting like that is not why we are debased and degraded. It's not why we have to contend with all of these stereotypes. Okay. But also, it wouldn't make sense for me to say that Black women can't be feminine or beautiful, because I've been, since I can remember, a feminine girl who grew up to be a feminine woman. That don't make sense. It's about what I'm naturally drawn to, but also what I choose to perform. And people get mad when I say that gender, this is Judith Butler talking, right? We're talking gender trouble now. That often the way that we present our gender in public is a performance. And if it wasn't a performance, yes, some of it is natural. I think I'm leaning into the both and, right? A lot of it is what we are naturally drawn to, and then we learn how to perform it, right? Or you learn how to reject in your performance the stuff that you're naturally drawn to. That's what a lot of queer folks say all the time. It's what a lot of trans folks say all the time, right? But it is all about, there are rules, and if you step outside of those rules, there are consequences. Or if you're able to engage with those rules the right way, there are positive consequences, right? And people get mad when I say that, but it's like, if this stuff wasn't a performance, you wouldn't have to consume so much media teaching you how to do it, right? If this stuff wasn't a performance, if it wasn't a put on, then you wouldn't have to watch YouTube videos or read Twitter threads or get on message boards or read books about how to do it right. Because you'd just be able to do it. But it's more complex than that. All right. So anyways, I find it to be deeply dispiriting that I try to be really, really careful. And occasionally I step into traps. People set out landmines for me because they're trying to catch me up. And occasionally I step on a landmine and it blows up. But I am really intentional when I step on a landmine of trying to go back and clean it up and say, okay, that wording wasn't exactly right. This wasn't exactly right, but this is exactly what I mean. And so it is really hard for me when I know that I spend so much time trying to be precise, when I know that I spend so much time trying to be empathetic. And speaking of empathy, this is going to be another tangent. But over on the Patreon, I watched for the first time that really, really viral Kevin Samuels video. And that viral Kevin Samuels video where he was talking to the woman the woman and she wanted a 6-figure guy or whatever. And really, for the first time after watching that video, I thought, oh, I understand why those communities on YouTube are so popular with Black women. I understand. And I'm talking about the hypergamy and femininity communities. Because the way that men are able to shape the conversation around desirability and partnership and deservedness is so dispiriting. It is so, if I was really tapped into that stuff, I so see how you could easily be broken and insecure, and like really demoralized. So, Black women have always created these counter narratives, these counter cultures in order to exert more agency over our lives, right? So that we can feel like, instead of being at the whims of somebody like a Kevin Samuels or the men who think like them, or all of these systems and structures that are in place that reproduce inequity, like the marriage market, right? Because the marriage market is fundamentally about inequity. It's not about what you deserve. That we would want to say, okay, well, if you do this, this, and this, then you can get this outcome. Now, Black women doing that is old, right? Like, I took classes and, I'm cool with Evelyn Higginbotham, who talked, about politics of respectability. Politics of respectability was about Black women doing that, the respectability politics of the club women of the early 20th century was about Black women doing that, saying, well, if you do this, this, and this, then you can get this outcome. It didn't quite work out, right? Like, just if we look historically, like, it doesn't quite work out that way, but I understand the draw. Absolutely. I mean, ultimately, I do think that the Kevin Samuel shit and the hypergamy femininity shit ends up in the same place, but I get why the female side of it would be so compelling. All right. What else do I have on here? Oh, okay. So I mentioned that because I recognize that you don't have to be everybody's type to live a great life. Like, I've really stepped into that in late 20s and 30s. I don't have that, like, piercing, like, jealousy, right? Like, I can look at somebody like, speaking of JT, she need to leave Uzi ass alone. That's a beautiful lady. Every time I see JT, I'm like, that is a beautiful woman. But there's no subtext there, okay? But when we're talking about hierarchies and beauty and desirability and the way that we are terrorized by beauty and beauty standards, I think what I'm trying to get to is a world where you can be just as safe and happy and contented and fulfilled opting out as you are opting in. And I recognize, and this is something, the trans girls have helped me see, and also something that I've always known myself, because I was experimenting with, I like experimenting with hairstyles, and, I did finally figure out how to do my makeup the right way. Shout out to Jackie Ina. That it can be empowering, which is a difficult word for me to say, as well as suffocating, as well as terrorizing. So how can we get to a point where nobody has to be suffocated and nobody has to be terrorized? And maybe, right, maybe that's never completely going to go away, because this is also something that I can acknowledge, that the way that people are drawn to beauty, beautiful people who are deemed beautiful, a part of that might not be agentic. A part of it might be biological. But that's hard, right? Because beauty standards are ephemeral. They are contextual. They are cultural. They're not coherent across time and geographic location, but I can acknowledge that the way that people are drawn to the most beautiful people, like that some of that might be out of our, like a little tiny part of it might be out of our control. So I talked about how on my Instagram stories, I talked about how I'm really trying to get to the point, and that's one of the reasons why I come on here purposely with like not full beat, is because I want to completely be at a point where if I'm putting on makeup, it's because I want to do it. If I'm doing my hair, it's because I want to do it. If I'm looking cute, it's because I want to do it. But just recently I had, I've been giving a lot of like college talks recently. Shout out to the kids. Aunt Kim is here. But a week or two ago, I did a talk with SDSU, right? And I, spent the day writing my remarks on that. And a couple of hours before I was supposed to do the talk, I was just really dreading it because I was like, I'm going to have to do my hair and I'm going to have to do my makeup and I don't want to do that. And then finally, like 90 minutes before I was supposed to give the talk, I was like, Kimberly, if you don't feel like doing your hair and putting on makeup today, then don't do your hair and put on makeup. And that was when I was like, yeah. So that's like the freedom, right? When it's, you show up how you want to show up. And that's also why I fucked up with regard to Derek Jackson's wife, because she has other issues that she needs to be worried about. You show up how you want to show up, and you feel just as good either way. I'm a feminist. I know somebody asked about that. All right. So we're going to move into the second half of this video. People often ask me, Kim, why are you spending time responding to these comments? Why would you even engage with these comments? People say in the comments all the time, like, I just hate that you feel like you needed to explain yourself. Like, you should have explained yourself. And I'm like, yo, I know what I'm doing here. There are many pros of embracing those comments and then making content out of it. So I've realized that hate comments are useful and usable with regard to my desire to revise and refine ideas. Every time somebody, and by the way, I'm not saying I have haters, okay? I'm not that person. I'm not saying I have haters, even though I probably do. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there are people who seriously dislike me, who intentionally misrepresent my views because they have not engaged with the stuff that I make. And so they don't like me. And so then they leave comments that are vitriolic and filled with lies. So anyways, so really when people, are pointedly trying to poke holes, that is an incredible opportunity to really go deep into that, right? To like jump on here. And by the way, this is a rough draft. This is a sketch. So you're going to see these ideas in an article or a book or a video later on, right? Like I'm just sketching it out right now. That it's an amazing opportunity to revise and come up with something different and even like maybe make little shifts, in the stuff that I'm putting forth. And also, frankly, really, it's a way for me to exploit the amount of time that people dedicate to hating me. This ain't free. Like when I put it up on Twitter or not Twitter, when I put it up on YouTube, like the platform grows. I make money off of it. I'm the person who gets to benefit, right? Like y'all leaving essay comments for free, but I get to respond to it and I benefit. So I get to control the narrative. I get to revise my ideas. I get to make money off of it. I get to be in this intimate setting. I like the intimacy of this versus doing stuff on For Harriet. There are no downsides to me doing this stuff. It's all upside. And so that's why, you know, a part of me is like, oh my God, if you talk about this again, they're going to come back again. But it's like, all right. And then we'll keep revising and refining and make more content out of this and, you know, make another book chapter. And that's it. So anyways, that's all I have to say about that. I'm going to go to the questions now. This is completely off topic, but where did you get your bra from? It's so cute. This is a swimsuit. I am a person who wears... This is a swimsuit, okay? This is a swimsuit from ASOS. I like... You know what I like? Sorry. I like a one piece. That's what I like. That's why I be laying up in here. I like a one piece. I like a bodysuit. I like a swimsuit or two pieces. I just don't like to wear clothes. So this swimsuit came in the mail and I was like, well, I'm just going to sleep in it. That's what I do. Sorry. I'm weird. Oh, there's another question. Hearing you say that about living confidently and living happily without being everyone's type really warms my heart. Sorry, Pancakes, that it cut off your comment. But yeah, I think that, you know, social media has its ups and downs, but when engagement is quantified, you know, and you see, you know, the women with certain kinds of bodies and certain kinds of faces and complexions and all of that, they get the most engagement, you know, they get flown out to Dubai, you know, they have all of the bags and shit, and it creates an extra layer to, you know, the kind of aspirational lifestyle, right? And it's like, I don't have a desire to make that kind of aspirational lifestyle content. Like, it's just not going to be me. But I have a desire to just be authentic and like show up authentically and be honest about the highs and the lows. And it just so happens that at this point in time, I'm at like a high period. But you know, as I say all the time, lows are coming. They're around the corner. You know? And so I have to be honest about that too. I have to be honest about the fact that I'm not rich. And that these niggas are annoying. Okay. But it's really hard to be a Black woman living in a predominantly white environment and feel desirable. Yeah, it is really hard. I think that is why I say that going to college and meeting my best friends changed my life. Being deeply embedded in a community of Black women who are similarly situated, who have experienced similar kinds of traumas, that was really, really a turning point in my life. And I'm glad that I had that when I was 18. Because it is hard. How do you understand the mass dating advice that Black women get as a way of policing our bodies? Because so much of it is about instilling fear and compulsory performance of a gendered identity, compulsory performance of femininity. And so the idea that comes from both sides of the partnership debate is, if you don't look like this, if you don't do this, if you don't perform like this, if you don't fix the plate, if you don't, then you're going to be alone forever. Do you want to have kids? Do you want your kids to grow up in poverty? Do you want to be cat lady? You don't want to be alone like those feminists, do you? It's all about fear. So, and by the way, the things that we are afraid of, and I say this, I've said this like 5 times in this live. I understand the fear. I understand the fear. You want to be picked? You want to be married? You want to have a happy, stable life? As I mentioned a couple videos ago, the love feeling, the butterflies feeling, oh my God, he texted me. Oh my God, he sent me a voice note and his voice is so cute. Like that feeling, that's a fun feeling. Nobody wants to be locked out of that. Well, some people want to be locked out of it. Shout out to the asexual, aromantic people. But if you do want to have that, then when you hear people say, you're not going to get that if you don't know how to perform. That's what the policing is about. But also because we are taught to view ourselves as not as individuals, but as parts of a whole, of a demographic whole, of an identity whole, the other part of the policing is, oh God, I'm so sorry. The other part of the policing is, well, if you choose not to perform, then you fucking up my shit. And so nobody gets the freedom, or nobody's supposed to get the freedom to do what they want to do and break the rules and be shameless. Because as I mentioned in the Lil Nas X video, shamelessness is a privilege and shamelessness is a tool. Okay. Shout out to Shannon. Thank you for buying a badge. The real tea is that black men don't have the financial support of other black men. That's why they're in black women's business. I think somebody like a Kevin Samuels, black men do like him. I think the weird thing about this is somebody like a Kevin Samuels gets support from both sides. That's when I was having that Kevin Samuels discussion on Patreon and people were like, well, we just need to shame him and run him off. And I'm like, but there are as many black women deeply invested in the Kevin Samuels rhetoric and the Kevin Samuels brand as black men. I think it's easy for us to forget that if you have progressive values, that if you say, I'm just not going to do that performance, that can be compulsory for y'all, but I'm just not going to do all that you're in the minority. Most people do have or aspire to traditional values. Now, ain't got no traditional money, okay? Don't live in a traditional neighborhood, don't have access to traditional nothing. But traditional values are still aspirational for most people, including most black people. Somebody else. Oh, thank you, T. Nerese. Appreciate you. I overthink so much. I do, because I'm thinking about the next black women people will meet. Like I said before, some black women are double agents to the patriarchy. They are in bondage. I want better for them. Yeah, so this is where it gets hard, right? Because I can have enormous empathy, and I do have enormous empathy because I understand why people are drawn to this. But it's a tough balance to strike of having enormous empathy and understanding, but also y'all are profiting from telling women that they're not good enough. Y'all building whole platforms. Black women building whole platforms by telling women that they need to change themselves and contort themselves and lie. That seems unethical to me. That seems unethical. Even if you believe it. That seems not right to me. My partner and I just broke up after 3 years because he dropped this traditional values bomb. I don't need a co-president. I need a first lady. I'm getting my PhD. He always knew I was going to work. Ooh, that's the other thing. Right? Is because, I've been making it a point to talk to more cishet men recently. And by recently, I mean like since the pandemic. And like, very few men have truly to the core traditional values. And then the men who have values that are not traditional often have some other shit, Then they not trying to do nothing. Oh, we need to do a whole video about the trials and tribulations of trying to pick the right kind of progressive man. Because there's different kinds of, there's outwardly progressive men who secretly in their home want traditional. And then there's outwardly progressive men who are like, you said you're a feminist. Why should I have to do any work? And it's like, what? I'm doing work, so you need to do work, right? Like, progressive doesn't mean that I don't need shit, that I don't want shit, right? Like, that's a common strain of progressive man. It's a lot. It's a lot going on. Okay, let me go back to the... Okay, do you think that there is a place for Black men in these convos? How can we facilitate these conversations? I think there is, and I am gonna have a conversation with one of my cishet Black male friends about this. Hopefully, I can convince one of them to, make some content with me. It'll probably be Patreon content because, these people, they don't want their shit in the street. But there is a way to talk about this stuff. I think it's difficult. The question about hoarding is... Okay. What? I don't know. Oh, I'm not going to talk about that. Patriarchy is so pervasive. 99% of us reinforce it in some way daily. If you're actively participating in society, unless you're off the grid, it's a daily practice to learn and unlearn stuff. Yes. It's a daily practice to learn and unlearn our participation in patriarchy and what I would call I don't have any more notes, so I guess I can put that away. It's a daily practice to unlearn our participation in patriarchy, but also something that comes up all the time is it is a privilege to be able to reject patriarchy. So because partnership is the primary way that women elevate social class, or that's the primary way that women achieve social mobility, that there's a lot riding on your ability to be partnered. That's why you have to have empathy for why this kind of stuff is so popular, why so many people are drawn to it. Because there's real consequences for people's lives. Now, I don't need nobody to pay no bills around here. In fact, don't even really sleep over for real. I just got some legal advice from somebody who said, Kimberly, don't even really let anybody live in your house with you, because then they have rights. And I said, thank you for letting me know. That's why it's good to be friends with lawyers. Thank you for letting me know that, because I don't want you to have no rights to anything around here. Stay over there. Separate assets. Okay. Now I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of this shit. Not me yelling into the microphone. I've never wanted kids. That's been a problem for most men that I date. Yeah. I mean, the not wanting kids thing becomes less of a problem, I mean, as I get older and as I date older. Also, I'm so glad I'm bi and on the sapphic side, and I don't gotta participate in traditional femininity in the dating scene. Okay. Yes, divesting comes at a cost. Absolutely. And I think we have to be honest about those costs. But like, all the choices are bad, right? And this is what I said in the Kevin Samuels. Not that I'm not trying to promote the Patreon. I'm just trying to say that this is what I said in the Kevin Samuels video. We have to be honest about the fact that in the current structures that we live in, we're going to call it cis hetero patriarchy. There are no good options if you are a woman generally, but if you're a black woman, all the options are terrible. All the options are bad. So you can choose to opt in and participate and be subject to all kinds of abuse and policing and degradation. You can choose to opt out and suffer those consequences that are potentially loneliness, right? Emotional consequences. And romantic loneliness, as I said in past videos, is a specific thing. It is a specific thing that even the best friendships are not able to replicate, okay? It's ineffable, it's indescribable, and it's distinct. And we have to be real about that. You have to suffer the financial cost, the emotional cost. You have to suffer the social cost if you opt out. Because still, the most supported thing that a woman can do is what? Partner a man. Make a life with a man. Have a baby within the confines of heterosexual marriage. So then you have to deal with that social stigma. There's no good, so you just have to pick your poison. Now, I prefer the poison that's not filled with abuse and gaslighting. Okay? That's gonna be my poison. But I understand. I get it. You can divest from hypergamy, strategic partnership, but you can't really divest from femininity or gender expectations. Absolutely. Okay. I don't need anyone to take care of me, but I desire it. How do I communicate that to cis black men? Good luck. Good luck. Look, here's the other thing about this, right? I think that we also run into trouble when we are trying to have one foot in and one foot out. And I think that engaging in a partnership where your partner, if you're a woman and you're in hetero partnership, engaging, or if you're, I don't know, people have said that this happens in queer couples too. So yeah, I think often there's like a more dominant partner, right? Engaging in a partnership where the other person assumes the more dominant roles and takes on the protector and provider roles generally comes with shit that you don't want, right? Like, I think that a lot of us can get that, but it's gonna be difficult to tell men in particular, I want this part of the patriarchal norm, but you have to divest from this other part of the patriarchal norm that I don't like. I mean, I think that's hard, and I'm not 100% sure that that's fair. it's expecting a lot of cognitive dissonance that we all have trouble navigating. So I don't think there's anything wrong with people saying you want somebody to provide for you, you want gifts, you want somebody to protect you. It comes with some shit. It comes with some shit. It comes with some shit. So it's like the cost of paying all these bills by myself. Okay. Because you know I got 2 apartments. Paying all these bills by myself, okay? The cost of I have to get my own shit. I have to get my car needs an oil change. Gotta get my own oil change. Now I can, outsource people to do other stuff. I don't take out my own garbage. Hire somebody to do that. You gotta build up structures to avoid having to deal with that interpersonal shit. But it's shit. All right. Also, the shit they hang their masculinity on is so fragile and limited. Yeah. I don't understand what submission means in the context of heteronormative relationships. I don't know if we have enough time to get into that. Men want it both ways, and they often get that. Women buy into the independent, submissive woman. Okay. That's all I have, guys. It is Easter, and I am supposed to go over to my mom's house today and pretend like that means something to me. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for letting me have this space, truly. I truly appreciate it. It has been great. Shout out to ASOS for the bathing suit. Shout out to Fenty Beauty for the lip gloss. Shout out to the sun for this glow. That's it. Have a good day, guys. Bye.